Awesome. We are live. Well, hello, everyone. I am just super duper exciting to have the Tracey Northcott with me, original Aussie, but living in Tokyo right now, been there for several years. And she is, guys, the branding expert. I got to tell you, she really digs into the listing, and she's a girl after my own heart because she really gets down to the nitty and gritty to optimize a property. Because you know my philosophy, how do I own and operate the fewest number of properties to generate the highest profitability? So let's dive in. Tracey, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you need no introduction, but please introduce yourself for the people who have not met you before.
Thank you, Rachel. It's a really pleasure to be here and actually to see you in person. Normally we're just hearing each other's voices and, you know, I'm sitting in my pajamas, and today I brushed my hair and put on some lipstick for you, so because I'm live on camera. So yeah, thank you for having me. It is a real pleasure to be here and to speak to your audience. So my name is Tracey. I'm an Aussie, so I sound a bit funny, and I've been living in Tokyo for 21 years. And about 10 years ago, I got into short-term rentals. So I started off with a single tiny unit, mainly because I was getting lots of visitors. I'd had a baby, and people that didn't want to visit us before suddenly said, "Oh, you've got a baby, let's come and visit you in Tokyo." And if you've never been to Tokyo, let me just tell you, the apartment's teeny, teeny, tiny. And so typically we don't have spare rooms, we don't have guest bedrooms, and people staying on your living room floor on a regular basis gets very, very tiresome. So I thought, well, look, you know, Airbnb had just kicked off. So I thought, well, if I rent a small apartment near my house, I can push my family and friends who I love dearly, but you know, sharing a kitchen and sharing a bathroom when you're an adult with your mother can get a little tiring. So it's like, here, mum, go and stay here. We can still see each other all day, every day, and yet, you know, I don't have to see you before I've had my coffee. So it's great. It worked out really well. And I thought, well, if I rent it out half time, if I rent it out 50% of the time, I've covered the cost of renting it. And my goals were really very low. I wasn't looking at making it a profit center or making it a business, but it just took off. It was at the perfect storm of, you know, the interest in Tokyo and Japan being on the bucket list of lots of tourists, and short-term rentals were just starting off. And so there wasn't enough out there for people. And the interest was, especially from overseas, was quite high. So it was like I was completely busy all the time. So I thought, well, I need another place and I need another place. And it grew very quickly. So within 5 years, you know, we were doing more than $1 million, and we had staff, and it just went crazy. And I thought of myself, oh, I'm an Airbnb host. That's what I do. I've got Airbnbs, because it became a noun and a verb and an identity. And then the market got really big very quickly, and then regulations came in. And so I really needed to buckle down and figure out who I was and who I was serving, and figure out which properties were going to be profit centers. And I did that about 5 or 6 years ago. And when I did that, my life completely changed. My business took off like a rocket, and now we're doing it full time. It's been great.
That's incredible. So it just started as an idea for your own personal use, you know, just to have something. And that's fantastic, because arbitrage, that's what we call it here, you know. Arbitrage is actually a really powerful pivot shift that we explored, and now we're all in on here in the States as well. So that's fantastic. So you, Tracey, you're known to be the subject matter expert for branding, right? For just really finding that identity. What is your identity? I love that you took that and you explored it. So as far as branding and marketing, can you tell us the difference between value and cost? What is the customer buying when they're buying value versus cost?
Sure. The guest experience is what people are buying. And a lot of hosts, and I was the same, I was exactly the same. It's like, how much is it costing me? How much is it costing me to rent, to fit it out, to pay the utilities? And then I'd put a plus alpha on top of that. That was my value to the market. And which if you're selling a widget, if you're selling a thing, then that's kind of okay. But when you're selling an experience, your value includes your hospitality, the information that you give to guests, the way you make them feel, the delivery of your service. They're kind of intangibles, but they have a value. And what you give to guests and how you make them feel, and also the memories that they're able to create, you can charge for that. And there's, we're in business to make money. If we're giving a product that is of high service and of high value, then we exchange the amount of money for that value, and not just think about what it costs us to run. I mean, that's just a really simple, it's a quick way to burn out. So when you figured out your brand and how much value you're bringing to the guest and the guest experience, that's what you charge at. And that's when you can really reduce the number of listings, but increase the amount of profit per property and really give an exceptional experience. I mean, because it's just a different way of running businesses. I mean, there are other people who prefer to be very hands-off and to actually go at scale and to have 200, 300 listings and to be offering the same experience in each one. That's a perfectly valid way to run a business. I'm not poo-pooing on that at all. I'm just saying how I run my business and how I've figured out that it works for me and my guests is having this additional value and charging for that. And that makes a very sustainable business for me.
And I love that. So what about the operator who wants to push back and, for our currency, say they find a guest that is questioning, well, so-and-so's motel or hotel is such and such a night, but you're charging this or that. I know what I say to those guests. I have a canned text. I send it to them. What do you say to that guest who's just looking at the cost? Why do you think you can charge this when the hotel next door, this property next door or nearby is charging a much lower rate? What's your response?
Yeah. Well, canned responses are fantastic because discount hunters are really they're not my customer. I'm not in the business of discounting. I'm not in the business of buying my guests. I'm really comfortable with the price that I charge. And canned responses are great because as well, you don't feel as a host, you don't get triggered. You don't get sort of like, they're trying to nickel and dime it. It's just, you can very kindly and gently say, well, I'm very comfortable with my pricing because, we offer a particular type of service that our guests are really happy with. Obviously, if this is not right for you, that's fine. No harm, no foul. I have it obviously in different wording, and I just gently and kindly move them away because I don't need that without being too woo-woo about it. I don't really need that kind of like person if they're going to be discount hunting right from the beginning, they're not really in the market for my product that I'm delivering. So my product is not just the bed and the sheets and the utilities. My product is the entire experience, which is how they're feeling, making sure they're comfortable, and it's in a location where they're choosing to be. So I'm solving a problem for them. So I'm not in the business of cheap accommodation. That's not my product. There's other people who do that. That's totally fine, but it's just for me, that's not my product.
Absolutely. And I feel the same way as well, Tracey. So there's a ton of synergy there. So let me ask you this. Can you describe for us your ideal guest? Who is it that you're served? Give us a bit of an idea of that demographic.
Sure. So the name of the brand of my business is actually called Tokyo Family Stays. So who I serve and where I am is baked right into all of the branding. It's into the name, it's in my URL, and I have it sort of branded throughout my listings as, if you're a family and you're coming to Tokyo, then I know you, I see you, and I'm going to look after you. So that's my approach in everything that I do. I'm looking to a family. Now that families come in all shapes and sizes and nationalities, and what I'm after is not necessarily that it is a mum and a dad and 2.5 kids. A family can be people that are traveling together. So that's what I'm really conscious of, and I make sure that I'm not sort of generalizing to say, if you're a mum and a dad and and 2.5 kids, then that's who I'm serving. I'm serving people that travel together as a family unit, whatever that family unit looks like. So that's who I serve. And I know that some families have babies and some families have adult children, and some people are traveling with grandma and grandpa, or whatever that family looks like. So I'm dialed into how a family needs to interact with each other. So the way I set up my properties, the way I take my photos, the amenities that I choose are really geared towards that experience, which is very different from, say, someone who is running a downtown loft for an executive couple, for example. I mean, I can't serve that demographic very well at all, because there's different expectations from somebody in that demographic. So I know who my guests are and what they need, and I tell them I see them, and I've got their backs.
I love that. I love the I know you, I see you. And I love the fact that you really got laser focused on your ideal guest, and then you understood that perhaps this other demographic is not going to be your ideal guest. And what's interesting though is, although you're laser focused on that one guest avatar, which is families traveling to Tokyo, I love that. Tokyo family stays, that's it. I mean, what else do you need? I love it. Mm-hmm. But you're still going to attract others, which is great. So I think it's important for everyone to hear that. Don't try to focus on everyone. Focus on your one guest avatar, and you will attract other guests. What do you have to say about that, Tracey? Is that true? Or
Sure, absolutely. So it just makes it easier to market. So, I'm marketing to a feeling. I'm marketing to an emotion, and that is the feeling that you get when you're together with your family. Now, you could have that as a couple. You could have that as, girlfriends traveling together. That's the feeling that I'm marketing for. Yes, I can deliver that hospitality to different modalities, but when I'm marketing, when I'm writing my copy, I'm writing my copy to the emotional feeling. And when people can see themselves in your copy, when you're getting into the conversation in their head, then that's when you convert. So that's the marketing piece. So when you've had an emotional reaction to the person reading your copy, looking at your photos, looking at the guest experience, and when they can see themselves in your property, that's when you get the conversion part, and that's when you make more sales. And because a lot of people, when they're writing their copy on their listing, are talking about, well, my place has 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and it's very clinical. It's like they're trying to sell real estate. Whereas when you're in a short-term rental, you're selling an experience. How are they going to interact with this space? How is the guest going to be? Not what you as a host have as a house. It's a subtle difference, but it's what converts. When people can see themselves, when people can imagine themselves waking up to their morning coffee, in your space, then they're drawn in, and they want to read more, and then price doesn't matter. They're buying the value, they're buying how they're going to feel, and the solutions that you provide when they're staying there. So rather than just flicking through a brochure of all different houses, that's when people start comparing on price. But when you're giving them an experience and a feeling, that's when price doesn't matter.
That is so good, and you're leading right into the question, because my next question for you is, how do you stop the scroll? How do you really get the guest to identify with this space? And you touched so many points on there. When you say I see you, I know you, I mean, what else do you have to say about that? I mean, that's incredible. So as far as the first point of interaction is the guest searching for a space, how do you stop the scroll? Because all I have are the headline and a picture. Give us some pointers on some winning tips to stop the scroll on your pictures and your headlines in the sea of millions of other listings at this point.
Yeah, look, it is a really cluttered market. And I think the main thing that people as a host have to just keep in mind that we're really not in a scarce market. There, you know, when you think you have to appeal to everybody, you really are not appealing to any particular person. So, you know, if you are, let's say, a cabin in the woods, what is the emotion? How are people going to feel when they're booking your cabin? That's what you need to be showing at the front, at the top hero shot. Get that emotional response and get people's curiosity of who you're trying to attract. And, you know, if you think, oh, I've got to appeal to everybody, that's the mindset of, oh, I'm really scared I'm not going to get any bookings. It's a really hard shift in your brain to think there's enough. There is enough people of my chosen demographic. So that's when you dial in. So the first photo obviously needs to be attractive and people need to be able to see themselves there. So, you know, if one of your appealing spots is, like I said, a cabin in the woods, then, you know, obviously a great photo is, a top photo is the view, or, you know, whatever is one of your unique features of your particular listing. Because it does come down, because when your brand actually has three main elements. It's you as the host, what sort of hospitality you're offering. It's your listing, the amenities, the location, and it's your ideal guest. So those three things sort of are overlaid, and it's the intersection of those, that's where your brand is. So that top photo needs to reflect you as the host, your ideal guest, and also the best features of your listing. So, and the other thing to remember is your house, as wonderful it is not necessarily the final destination. You're solving a problem for people that are wanting to come to the area anyway. So you don't necessarily need to sell the area. You need to solve. So what you need to do when you know your ideal guest is think, well, they're coming. What do they need to do when they're in the area? What are their problems, and what are their problems, or what are their desires? And you show that as the first photo. So like if you're in an urban center, or you're close to a hospital, or you're targeting a travel nurse, for example, what are their pain points? Their pain points are location, convenience. So you would be showing where that property is as one of the top photos. So that, and in the title you would say that your feature is you're close to a hospital, which is very different from the title that you would use when you're in a cabin in the woods, for example. If you're targeting people that are working from home, obviously in those first 5 photos, you need to be showing your Wi-Fi speed. I mean, that's, you know, you're going to be grabbing people with that Wi-Fi speed because that's a problem that you can solve. And when you can show that, that's when you stop the scroll. It's not just about having the prettiest listing. My listings are not the prettiest around, but I solve a problem for people, and that's what they're paying for.
That's fantastic. So could I ask, because now I'm curious, as far as location, when you say you're showing the location, is it kind of like a topographical map view, or what do you mean by that?
Well, you can put in the title. So, you know, I'm just talking about my places now. Obviously, Tokyo is a massive city. And when people come to Tokyo, they've got in their mind where they want to be. Like, you know, maybe their choice is to be close to Disneyland, or they want to be close to, you know, the bright lights of Shinjuku, or they want to be close to. So I give people the location actually in the title. That's good for me and where I am. But, you know, for other people, having the location there in the title may not be necessary because it might be pretty obvious. So it does come down. It's never like a cookie cutter solution. It's about, you know, having your title, testing that to see if it's converting. If it's not, play around with that title a little bit to make sure that you're getting the right inquiries. And it's a bit of a double-edged sword when you sort of go down, go down this marketing and branding path, because it's never just I do this and then the people are magically going to come. You really do need to keep testing and keep playing with your title and your top photos, just to make sure that you are appealing to the people that you're trying to attract.
Awesome. And so I was asking that question in particular because, you know, remote workers, travel nurses, all of, you know, that demographic is out there now. And I think it's going to provide a lot of value to those who are going to be serving those remote workers. So if you can say 2 miles away from Piedmont Hospital, something like that would be very advantageous for those who are serving that demographic. So that's a fantastic pointer. And so I'm going to be a little greedy because this is, I know that there are people watching, but I feel like I'm going to just steal all the questions and just ask because, so Tracey, when you just suggested that it's almost like when your home is never done, you're always remodeling and fixing. Similar to this, oh my goodness, I did not realize marketing was this never ending. Like you're right, you can't set it and forget it, right? Because seasons change, interest change. Oh my goodness. So tell me, what are your thoughts about, is there a cadence just for basic maintenance? How often should we be cleaning up and updating our listing? And then of course, there's going to be moments at ad hoc where something big may be happening and you do need to, address that in your listing. But how often, what's a healthy standard cadence to be updating the listing? Because things
Sure. I love that question. So it really does depend on where you are. So for example, again, I'll use this cabin in the woods or the beach, for example, a beach location. When people are booking a beach location, the marketing that you use now, for example, during fall is going to be very different from the marketing that you would have used in spring. Because again, that emotional feeling, people are looking for different things. They might still be your ideal guest, but the sort of pain points they have or their desires that they have are very different now coming up to the holidays than what they would have looking for a summer holiday. So it depends. But what I always advise my clients to do is do this on, not inside your listing. What you can do is off your listing, have your copywriting, have your adjectives, have your different titles that you use on a separate document. And then what you can do is just copy and paste them into your listing at various times when you have a calendar. So you don't have to remember, set it as block it out in your calendar saying, well, today I need to update my title. Today I need to update my copy. Today, the seasons have changed. So I'm going to be putting in pictures that are more seasonality. So, again, if you're a cabin in the woods, you should be now, you should have already had photos of fall colors. And if you are into decor, you can be putting in photos of the dining table that has a beautiful centerpiece in fall colors, which is different from the photos that you would have probably used before summer. Now you would be showing photos if you've got a fireplace, have the fire going, have those fall colors, take photos when it's a different lighting. So definitely seasonal, especially if you do get the really distinct 4 seasons. There is also the other benefit of having regular updates to your listing is that if you're an Airbnb, the algorithm loves that. The algorithm absolutely loves it when you're doing little tweaks on a regular basis, weekly, for example. Major tweaks, I would say monthly, and then seasonal changes when you're really swapping out photos and moving things around, and that's every 3 months. So that's a pretty good rule of thumb. You can be tweaking little things every like I said, every week. Flick the price up $1, flick the price down $1. Those are the little tips that keep Airbnb, that their little spiders and bots keep them happy and says, oh, this host is an active host and will keep you up at the top of the listings, the search listings. And then to stop the scroll, again, have seasonal thing. You don't want to have a beach photo now because people aren't thinking, oh, I'm going to be going to the beach. They're going to start dreaming of the beach in the dark days of February, for example. So in February, if you have more of a summer place, start, changing up your photos to get people dreaming of warm summer days when they're kind of getting tired of winter. At the moment, everyone's kind of feeling like, oh, I'm over summer. I'm really wanting to get into some coziness and give them that emotion and have fun with your listing, have fun with it and test it and see what's converting.
Oh my goodness, I'm here taking all the notes, so I cannot thank you enough. So guys, if you did not get this gem, and this is what I call a habit hack, have your listing copy and header in a separate document that you can copy and paste. So you do not need to reinvent the wheel. Here I am typing and plucking and struggles like, how do I write this again? So have that saved on another document where you can copy and paste and refresh it as needed, and then add it to a calendar. Why didn't I think of that, Tracey? That is fantastic. Add it to a calendar because that's one more less thing that I need to have hovering back here. Ooh, what's the other thing that I need to do? So if it's on a calendar, I'm golden. I live off of the calendar. So if it shows up, I know, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. Thank you.
And if you really wanted to be a complete, if you're really into numbers and if you're really into stats, you could actually keep those, keep the copy and keep the titles on a spreadsheet. And, you could be listing out, well, this particular heading, I got so many inquiries and I converted to this amount of money. If you're a real statistics, head, if you're not really into that, that's totally fine. You're just really interested in delivering the hospitality. But yeah, just keep the copy there. And you don't have to change the whole listing, just that top paragraph, because at the end of the day, let's face it, most people are not going to read all of it, but that top heading should be an emotional response. Any features need to be in a bullet point form, but any sort of emotional, imagine yourself drinking a coffee on our deck overlooking the river, that should be in a sentence, and then hit them with 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. That's how humans like to absorb information. And to stop the scroll, you don't want to make it hard for people. You want to grab their attention with an emotion that you want them to have, and then hit them with the facts so that their eyes can see that. And in bullet points, just makes it much easier to absorb. And if you make it too hard, then they're going to keep scrolling. It's like, oh, that's too hard. I don't know if that's going to solve my problem, so I'm just going to keep scrolling. So just give that information, make it easy so that people feel like you see them. It's like, oh, that has exactly what I need. Let me read more. Let me scroll through those photos some more before they go, jump off to another listing.
Ooh, I've got a lot of work to do, Tracey. I have my bedroom descriptions, 3 bedroom, like all in long sentences. You're going to read this university dissertation about the number of bedrooms and bathrooms. Oh, I've got so much work to do.
Well, the other thing you can do is, what I get my clients to do actually is have bullet points of what are the features, what are the facts, and then on the next column, what are the benefits of that? So if there's 3 bedrooms, what's the benefit of having the 3 bedrooms? The benefit is, well, the whole family can stay, for example, or if you're looking at travel nurses, there's 3 bedrooms, you can share and, share with other people in your, other nurses and, reduce the costs. So that's the benefit. Any benefit needs to be written in long form, and any facts, any features as bullets. That's a nice rule of thumb.
I love it. I love it. Oh, this is fantastic. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And people like to be told what to do, don't they? So when you tell them, here's what you can, have access to, here's, how you'll be served, you know what? You just solved their problem. You answered the question. Maybe they didn't even know they had that question, right? You just answered it for them. And thereby, again, you're showing them that you see them, they can stop the scroll because this is the space for them. So tell us a little bit about Tokyo Stays, and tell us, as far as your top amenities. I believe that your city center, are you, Tracey, where there's a good walkability in your area? Tell us a little bit about the perks and your properties.
Sure. So I'm in Tokyo. Most of the houses that we have are near where I live, and that's deliberate because I know the areas really well. I can serve my guests really well by giving them all those local tips. And also I know that when people come, they don't have cars. They are going to be using public transport. So it has to be Whenever I choose a place, it has to be close to a station. It has to be close to a major subway line. And so that's solving a problem because, people are coming to Tokyo. They do want to, hang out in the house, but I put my ego in my pocket. My house is not their destination. I'm solving a problem for them. They want to go out and they want to see as much of Tokyo as possible. So I make it convenient for that. But then when they come back, they've got all the creature comforts that they're used to. I make sure that all of my amenities have English explanations. The toilets, let me talk about toilets for a moment. Japanese toilets, you will almost need a degree to use them because they play music, they have washing and drying and massage features and seat warmers. I know, right? I'm talking about toilets on your show, but
this is fantastic because I want to visit Tokyo Stays one day, so I need to get orientation on the toilet. Tell me about this.
Well, yeah, and so what I do is I make sure that I help people out. So again, I see you. I know that you're a little bit confused and nervous when you're in a toilet. So I'm going to give you the information so that you can enjoy the experience, so that you can not feel like you're doing the wrong thing, like you're not touching the wrong button. So I just make it very clear. There's a sign on the wall, which, decor wise isn't great. I make sure that any signs I have around the house are convenient, but not taking away, you don't want to feel like you're living in a rule-centric place. But, I give people good information in the location that's convenient so that they can relax, in my place. So even the air conditioning units, it's like, well, how do I use the air conditioner? I don't want people pressing lots of buttons because that's when things break. As well-meaning as people might be, I want to make sure that they understand and they're not just randomly pressing buttons to get, to turn on the air or turn off the air. So I make sure that they understand how that's used. The other amenities, I offer are, because I look after families and they're traveling, I know that they're not necessarily going to have a bunch of toys for the kids. They're not necessarily going to have books. So I provide kids books in different languages, kids toys, nothing with a pencil because I don't really want crayon marks on my wall. So I'm very careful about what I choose to suit me as well as give value to my guests. I make sure that I've got things like high chairs and I've even got prams if people need like strollers. But the other thing is that I know what problems they're likely to have or what desires they're likely to have, and I can monetize that along the way. So if, for example, someone comes and they want to have babysitting, they, as much as they love their kids don't want to go to a fancy restaurant for dinner, or the kids don't want to do some things that the parents might want to enjoy. So I have a babysitting service where parents can feel relaxed that their kids are well taken care of inside the house and they can go off and have dinner or go out in the town or whatever they want to do. And I've monetized that. And that, even though people are paying extra money, the value is over and above what they're paying. It's money that they were going to spend anyway. So I just help them spend it with me by solving a problem.
And the value there is, I can't even imagine how I would start to seek a babysitter in Tokyo. I'm in a
Right.
So you went above and beyond. As a mom, and you're a mom, you get it.
Mm-hmm.
Country, don't know who to trust, don't know what's going on. But if my host is recommending a sitting service and they come with high marks, yeah, absolutely.
And these are babysitters that have looked after my own son, right? So I trust them implicitly. They're also the turnaround team, so they know the house really well because they clean it. So and it's extra money for them, and I get a commission for the booking service. So it's a win-win all around, and and it's not. I'm not nickel and diming people. It's not so like I'm charging them a massive premium. I'm charging them for the convenience, and people are happy to pay for that because I've been able to give them something that they weren't able to do on their own. And I've also curated a whole bunch of tours Food tours are really popular, and I've made relationships with food tours that I know are useful and informative and ethical, and I've been on the tour, so I can actually give my personal recommendations. At the same time, I've got a financial relationship with them, so that anyone who goes on the tour that I introduce, it's a win-win. I know that the guest is going to enjoy the tour. I know that the tour company is going to deliver an exceptional experience to my guests. So that makes me look good, because I've given them an experience that they're also going to remember. And then also I get paid for it. So it's like, happy days.
Yeah, and it's great. And so I know that Airbnb and short-term rentals get a lot of flack, but what you're doing is you're vitalizing these small businesses that are in the area. You're injecting guests into their business. You're injecting cash into your community also. And the more people you serve, yes, the more money you make. That's how I see it. I love to serve, but I love making money too. And it's a win-win. So that's fantastic. And you're partnering with these small businesses. And I think that when regulations come down, they need to look at that. They need to look at the fact that these accommodations are pretty much ushering in small business, revitalization, because we know that a lot of the food service, folks got hit really, really hard, recently. So all of that would be very, very helpful for your community. So I think we can take a page out of your book there to partner with local restaurants, local businesses, to really help them out as well.
I love the community aspect of it. And that's one thing I did really early, in that I'm really proud of my town. I'm really proud of my city, and I'm really proud of and I've made friends with lots of local restaurants. And it's like, I think they deliver a great service. If I'm having a good time, then this is obviously something where other people are going to have a great time too. So I have no problem recommending them. And, there's restaurants that I never have to pay at. It's just like, I send all my guests there. They love it. It's a win-win. And, it's like, your money's no good here. It's just like, okay, that's not why I do it though. It's just more that I think small businesses helping small businesses is brilliant. But the other thing is, guests really want that as well. They want to know that the money that they're going to spend anyway is going into the community. It's going there. I mean, it's a different experience. People who come and stay in a short-term rental want to have that local experience. If you just want a place to stay, there's motels, there's hotels, that's fine, big chains, and that's a different experience. But the people that choose to come and stay in a short-term rental, they're not choosing it because of price. They're choosing it because of that additional touch point with the community, with the small businesses. They want to know who is the local coffee maker, who is the local soap maker. I have soaps made by a local soap maker, and I have them in my properties. I mean, I'm just talking about Tokyo, but that's possible all over the world. I know when I'm traveling, I want to know the DNA of the place that I'm staying in. I think that gives you more memory. It gives you more of an experience, and people are wanting to collect experiences now, and that's been proven time and time again. It's not people just want to collect stuff. They want to collect the experience. They want to collect the stories and the memories. And I just make that easy and monetize it along the way.
I love it. And so, not to get on my soapbox, Tracey, but
go right ahead.
I'm telling you, I love that people do want that unique experience. And that's the definition of modern luxury. People are over the accumulation of things. Oh my gosh, the things in my garage right now is just so stressful. Yep. I want to get rid of things, but you know what I want to collect? I want to collect experiences. And so people want to live like a local. People want that experience, because look, you're right. They could stay anywhere, if they just wanted, just a standardized stay, but they want that local experience, that unique stay. And even now, Airbnb has incentivized that unique stay. You get a special designator if you can, like the farms and the tiny houses. They all are getting special designators. So that's kind of the writing on the wall. How can you be more unique? How can you really provide that experience? Because they know that according to the search algorithms, that's what people are looking for. People are looking for properties that stand out and experiences that stand out. So I think that's
niching, and that makes it really easy for people to niche. Initially it was like, Airbnb started off and it was like you were sharing someone's living room, which is fine. But now it's the market has grown, the demand has grown, and it's become much more of a mature market. And you're getting all these different segments, and that's why branding, especially now, is really becoming so important. You can brand yourself as a tiny house, and if I'm going to look for a tiny house, then that's an experience that I want to get. It's just there's just so popular right now, and having your marketing geared to someone like me who might be looking for a tiny house experience, who might not understand what it is to live like a tiny house. Give me the information so that I can live successfully, even if it's just for that weekend, for example, and enjoy my stay. That's what I'm going to take away, and I'm prepared to pay for that. It's like a tiny house might only be, a couple of square feet, but I'm paying for the experience, and so I'm paying, the amount of money I'm paying per square foot might be what is the same I'm going to be paying in a large house, but it's a different experience. I'm paying for feeling like I'm in a tiny house. So it's not, you don't cost it out based on the square foot or the amenities. It's really on the total package. So that's really what I'm all about. And I love helping people do that and figuring out their unique sweet spot.
That's awesome. And so I know that you host a clubhouse room every other week where I actually commented that is the most actionable short-term rental clubhouse room that I ever participated in. And I love it because every time I participate in that room, I take away nuggets. And the folks in there that come up on stage with their listing, you and Bart, you guys dissect their listing and give them ideas, and they go out and they make the changes and they come back, and it's like night and day. And so that type of consultative live, is a master class in and of itself. And I think that's fantastic.
Well, I mean, even in 10 minutes. So there's one chap, he came back a couple of weeks running, and, we only give people 10 minutes, like a really little taste of what a full branding audit would be. And he was coming back, week on week. And we figured out that the tweaks that he made, he was really coachable. He was really open. He was really taking on board and actually putting those suggestions into practice. He increased his nightly rate. He increased his midweek occupancy. And he was, by the time, I think after a month of doing that work, he was earning an additional $26,000 a year. I mean, just the same asset. The same, he wasn't spending a ton of money. All he was doing was fixing the marketing, fixing the photos, changing the title, and rewriting his copy. All of that earned him $26,000 extra for a little bit of equity of his time. Sweat equity. That's what it was. And it's just like, that's half a job for somebody. Like, that's what's he going to put that money into? I mean, it's going to pay his mortgage. It's going to make his life, so much more comfortable. And that was us, just being able to look at it objectively, going, okay, well, who's coming? What are they going to want? And making sure that he was delivering on his listing what the guest was going to receive. And he got great reviews. $26,000. I mean, happy days.
That's fantastic. Oh my goodness. And so that really is in line with what we're trying to do. And our strategy is using the fewest number of properties to generate the highest profitability. And it's really about, you keep going back to it, Tracey, knowing your guests. What do they want?
Knowing your guests.
Yeah, what do they want? And letting them know that you know them, right? In your copy, they have to know that you know them.
yeah. And then the thing is as well, is that it's the lifetime value of that guest as well. It's like, once you've sold it to the person the first time, it's much easier to, the opportunity cost of selling it to them again. And then they come back again. And then they come back again. And then they start telling their friends who are also likely to be your ideal guest, hey, I went and stayed at this place. It was awesome because it was by the beach, and it had space, it had a bathroom beside the main bedroom and that was great for grandparents. Whatever those pain points are that you've solved, that person is going to then tell other people who are also your ideal guest. I guarantee you they will not remember how much they paid, will not remember that they got a 5% discount. So don't discount, value add to the experience, add to the value, and that's what people will remember and come back for.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So let me ask you this. And speaking about amenities, and this is just me being curious, do you guys call it the hamper, like the welcome basket? Do you call it a hamper?
It's called welcome. I send a welcome pack, which is, before people come, which is a whole bunch of like information. So that's on how to arrive, how to, and also at that point is where I start to say, are you needing ground transportation? Because I know most people need ground transportation. And that's where I say, I've got you covered. I've got your back. Use this service. And again, I get money for it. While you're in town, are you planning to do a tour? Are you planning to go to a museum? Use this ticketing service. I know it works. It'll give you what you need at a competitive price, done and dusted. So that's my welcome pack. And then when they arrive, I don't really call it out, but I mean, obviously there's, information, there's the house book, and I put in things like, I've got train passes in there for the metro, and basically that's train passes that is just left in the house that people use. You put money on it, and then you can use it on the subway, you can use it in taxi, and then when you're finished, obviously it's no value to you, so you leave it in the house for the next person, and often there's money left over from the person before. So that's a nice bonus that I give people. I also have branded a stamp book. And now this is really specific to my area and my listing and my guests. So I look after families, kids, have you ever been sightseeing with kids? They're like bored, and they're like, you're trying to look at a map, you're trying to figure out where you're going, the kids are going wah, wah, like, annoying you. I've got a project. I give parents a stamp book, and their kids have a project, and so the kids have something to do, and also it's something that they may not have recognized. So in Tokyo, this is again very specific to Tokyo and Japan, every single train station and every subway station and every single big tourist place, every temple has rubber stamps, which are designed like decorative, and they have the name of where it is, and they have a little picture, and they're usually like attached to the wall on a chain, and then there's a stamp pad, so you can have a memory book. So what the project for the kids is, right, when mum and dad are standing at the train station, your job is to find the stamp place. And so you go and find the stamp place, you put it in your stamp book, and then you write in where you were that day. So, and then they get to take that book home with them. And of course, it's got my brand on it. It's got like my website on it. So this is your memory that you've taken away. It's for free. The kids have had a job, they've had a project, and you've got something pretty to take away that you may not have learnt before. So sorry, that was a very long explanation for a very short question. But yeah, I try. And the other thing I do have in the house, obviously, I have coffee, I have tea, I have all, soaps and detergents and everything that they need, because, when you arrive, you don't know where the supermarket is. And, we give a full service in terms of detergents and toilet paper and all that stuff. So yeah, that's not as much fun as a stamp book. That's much more fun to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just gave me an idea, because we have 100 miles of golf cart paths. So I sometimes find the map to the whole path, and I want to standardize that and have it every single time, and then put our logo and branding on that.
Nice.
Floor, although they won't get to the 100 miles typically, but just a portion of it. I think that'll be cool. So thank you. I'm good. Okay. Hey, Miss Julie George, comment. Beautiful ladies, I have arrived late to this love, but promise to watch the whole interview again, because I know it is so full of value. She says it will be full of value. Absolutely. This was a mastermind, Tracey. So tell the people, if we need to tweak our listings, and guess what, guys, we all do. And that's something I learned from Tracey. It's like, oh my goodness, the house is not complete, you know, when the builder's home is never done. So how do we work with you? How do we connect with you if we really need an overhaul? We don't have those midweek bookings. We realize that we're just lowering our price day by day to just get the guests to come in and come out. But that's not really how we want to operate, right? We want to be hosts that are driving value, not just a cost proposition, but a value proposition. How do we get started with working with you?
There's a couple of ways. Now, I do have a signature program where I am laser focused on your listing. So I'll look at your photos, I'll look at who you're serving and making sure that you're very dialed in, and you'll have some actionable tips and also a schedule of, you know, when you should be doing things. And then I'll check back on you a little later on and go, how much extra money have you made? So it's all focused on, you know, making sure that your listing is really reflective of you and your service, and making sure that you're attracting the right guests. So that's a one-on-one with me. And it's called a listing and branding audit, and you can find it on my website. If you're more of a DIY, if you're more of a checklist and a self-study kind of person, I have a downloadable workbook that's called Revamp Your Brand. And again, that's available on my website. You can do that in a weekend. Typically, people find an extra $1,000 per month of extra revenue, and you can grab that again through my website. And also, I write. I've got actually, I haven't published a little bit lately. I've got maybe 15 or 20 blog posts that are just, I'm finishing tweaking and I've got to put out there. But I've been blogging since the pandemic started. I was really siloed on Japan. So before the pandemic hit, I was like really into the market here and into, I was helping a lot of hosts here in Japan, looking after inbound tourists. The pandemic hit and I just thought, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? I needed to put that energy into something. So I started writing. And so I've got a ton of content on my blog. You can read it for free. I've got a couple of free ebooks that are there just to, you know, to get to know me and to give you some value. And also, I'm not a woman of mystery, Rachel. I'm easy to find. I have an Instagram that I update every day with tips and things like, have you cleaned behind your fridge today? You know, just some things to, you know, to keep you engaged. I think if you're engaged in your listing, that comes through in your business. Yeah, so my Instagram is sort of some daily prompts and also some eye candy and a bit of fun. So that's how you find me. And you can find me, there's Tracey-Northcott.com. As I said, I'm not a woman of mystery.
Awesome. And so guys, we're going to add that to the comments, Tracey-Northcott.com. Julie George is commenting, a stamp book is a great idea. I agree, Julie. I love that idea. So, and I love that she branded it too. It's like, she's not going to waste an opportunity. Oh, these are the things that I don't think about, Tracey. This is fantastic. I love it. I love it. I love it. Guys, Tracey-Northcott.com. Christian will help us get that posted in the comments. I cannot thank you enough, Tracey, and we didn't even get a chance to talk about your celebrity appearances, all the places. I think you were interviewed by Wall Street Journal, were you? Oh my gosh.
Yes, I've been interviewed by recently. There's like Wall Street Journal, New York Times, ABC TV Australia, Japan Times. That sounds a bit you know, ego. I don't remember. But I'm in my house right now, and like this backdrop is actually the inside of one of my places. And the reason I've got the backdrop on is that I'm actually sitting in my store cupboard. And I thought that's a much better backdrop to have one of my houses in the back of Zoom rather than my store cupboard, because it's not pretty. It's like, you know, it's not all glamour and it's not all like, you know, hammers and nails and cleaning products back there. It ain't pretty. So it's real.
Yes. Who are you telling? So this background is like, I stage it, but don't look in the foreground or it's like linens and all of the things. So I am with you 100%. And I absolutely love that design, Tracey. Oh my gosh, it's wonderful.
Well, it's a local artist with a picture on the wall, and the hanging obi An obi is it's a silk waistband of a kimono, and it's an antique. There's a shop that I go to, and I've actually got a whole collection of obis. People don't wear them anymore, so it's like, well, my signature in all of my houses is silk obis and actually a kimono up on the walls somewhere. And I whenever I'm not a good decorator, I'll pick an obi, and that will be my focal point, and then I'll pick, like, I'll go to IKEA and I'll pick up the soft furnishings to pick up the color in that obi or that kimono, because in the things like soft furnishings, you've got to replace on a regular basis because they look nasty after a while. But the silk antique obi, it's older than me. You should always have something older than you in your properties, and then you just then you can change out the soft furnishings on a seasonal basis. That's my decorating tip, and I'm not a decorator.
Well, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Julie says, Rachel, let's go visit Tracey in Japan. Yes. Julie, wouldn't that be amazing? Yes. If she would have us, would you have us, Tracey?
Absolutely. I'll come and stay, come stay in one of my big houses, and I'll come and stay too, and we can sit up all night and drink wine.
Yes. Yes, I'm ready. Christian says she wants to join as well. Christian's helping us out with, yes, Christian, you are welcome, my love. I cannot wait. I need this in my life, and I look forward to it. I cannot wait. Well, guys, listen, we are past the top of the hour. I know Tracey's starting her morning. I am so grateful for you, Tracey, and for you jumping in and providing all of the value. I hope everyone here today is inspired. I hope you go back and you take a look at your listing, get laser focused on who your ideal guest avatar is, and read your listing as though you are that guest. What is missing? What is there? What needs to be updated? And reach out to Tracey if you need some more help. So thank you. Thank you. I so appreciate you.
Thank you, Rachel. I'm actually going to be doing an audit. I only do 10 a month. I only do 10 personal one-on-ones a month. I'm about to go into an audit with a customer soon, and he's got some great places. So I'm really looking forward to that. And thank you. And I hope it's been valuable to the people watching along. So, and I'll see you in the Facebook group myself.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Happy auditing.
Oh, I love it. Oh, it's just, seriously, I just love looking at the photos. I'm a real, I'm a short-term rental nerd, let's face it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then when they come back and they've made progress and they're winning,
it makes me so much I should, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start collecting how much extra money I've helped people make, and I'm going to put that as a target on my wall, and I'm going to have maybe a ticker on my website to say I've helped people earn X amount more dollars. And actually, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that today.
It's life-changing, right? So it's fantastic. Yeah, I love it.
It's been life-changing for me and my family, and the more that we can do that, it's just better. I mean, let's get all woo-woo, but it's the more that we can help each other make more money and have financial freedom, the better it is just for everybody, and global understanding and all those peace and love. And
I love it, Tracey. I feel like we need to do this again. Thank you. We need to do it in person. So I'm with you, Julie. Vali, thank you so much for attending, everyone. I appreciate you all. I hope you're inspired. Have a good night. Love you guys. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.